Listen, I need to tell you about something that just dropped, and honestly, this could be massive for the Blue Jays. We're talking about a potential trade that's gaining serious traction, and it involves a player who could legitimately solve one of Toronto's biggest problems heading into next season. So stick around because this is getting interesting. The buzz around the league right now is centered on Cardinals reliever Jojo Romero, and here's why this matters. St. Louis is clearly in rebuild mode after shipping out Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras, and they're taking calls on pretty much everyone. Romero's name keeps popping up in trade discussions, and the Blue Jays should absolutely be paying attention. Let's talk numbers for a second. This guy put up a 2.07 ERA last season with a 1.25 whip and 55 strikeouts. He didn't even get save opportunities until the final 2 months, yet he converted 8 of 9 chances when given the shot. That's the kind of production you need in high-leverage situations, especially when you're trying to compete in the AL East, where every single game matters. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. There's been speculation about what a potential deal could look like, and one name that keeps coming up is Adam Macko. He's a left-handed pitching prospect in Toronto's system, currently ranked somewhere in their top 10 to 15, depending on who you ask. Macko came over in the Eric Swanson trade when the Jays dealt Teoscar Hernandez, so there's some history there with moving pieces around. Would I do it? Here's my honest take. Macko is about to turn 25, and he posted a 4.76 ERA across multiple levels last season while dealing with injury issues. That's not exactly screaming untouchable prospect status. Meanwhile, Romero is a proven major league reliever entering his prime at 29 years old, and he's a lefty, which is crucial because Toronto's bullpen is absolutely desperate for left-handed options. Think about the current relief corps for a minute. You've got Jordan Romano if he's healthy, Chad Green, Yimi Garcia, Trevor Richards, potentially Tyler Rogers, who they just signed. But who's your dominant lefty? Brennan Little has potential but lacks experience. Mason Fluharty is still developing. There's no established high-leverage southpaw in that mix, and that's a problem when you're facing lineups stacked with dangerous left-handed bats. Romero fills that void immediately. He's not necessarily your closer, though he could handle the role if needed. More importantly, he's someone you can trust in the 7th or 8th inning against the heart of an opposing lineup. Those situations decide playoff games, and right now, Toronto doesn't have enough guys they can confidently turn to. The timing here is perfect, too. St. Louis is selling, Toronto is buying, and the price shouldn't be astronomical because relievers generally don't command massive prospect hauls. Jeff Passan even listed Romero in his top 25 trade candidates this offseason, so it's not like this is some wild speculation. Multiple credible sources have confirmed the Cardinals are fielding offers. Here's what makes this even more appealing. While everyone's obsessing over whether the Jays land Kyle Tucker, Anthony Santander, Alex Bregman, or Cody Bellinger, the bullpen has been somewhat overlooked. But championship teams need elite relief pitching, period. You can have the best offense in baseball and still lose in October if your bullpen implodes. Look at what happened to Toronto in recent years. They've had talented rosters that couldn't get over the hump, partly because the back end of their pitching staff wasn't reliable enough. Adding Romero doesn't solve everything, but it's a significant step toward building the kind of depth you need for a long season and potential postseason run. Some people might argue that trading a top 15 prospect for a reliever is an overpay. I get that perspective, but context matters. Macko isn't a blue-chip prospect anymore. He's dealt with injuries, his performance has been inconsistent, and he's approaching an age where the development clock starts working against you. Meanwhile, Romero gives you immediate value and control through arbitration. The other factor to consider is organizational philosophy. The Blue Jays have been stockpiling position player talent and investing heavily in their rotation, which makes sense, but they can't ignore the bullpen, and they have enough pitching depth in the minors to absorb losing someone like Macko without derailing their long-term plans. John Heyman dropped an update recently mentioning that Toronto's biggest move might still be coming, which has everyone focused on the big-name free agents and Tucker. That's fair. Those are franchise-altering additions if they happen. But smart front offices work multiple angles simultaneously. You can pursue Tucker and still shore up your bullpen. These things aren't mutually exclusive. What I'd love to see is Ross Atkins and the front office being aggressive here. Pick up the phone, gauge St. Louis's asking price, and if it's reasonable, pull the trigger. Don't let this opportunity slip away because you're waiting to see how the Tucker situation plays out or whether Bregman's price drops. Romero addresses a clear need, and he's available from a seller. The other thing worth mentioning is that lefty relievers with Romero's track record don't hit free agency often, and when they do, they get paid. So acquiring him via trade before he reaches that point gives you cost certainty and multiple years of team control. That's valuable when you're trying to manage a budget and keep a competitive window open. Now, would I give up more than Mako for Romero? Probably not, unless St. Louis is also including another piece that makes sense for Toronto's needs. But as a straight swap or something close to it, this is the kind of deal that looks smart both now and in hindsight. It's not flashy, it won't dominate headlines, but it makes the team measurably better. The Cardinals have been active this winter, which tells you they're committed to this direction. They're not messing around or waiting to see what happens. They're actively reshaping their roster, and that creates opportunities for teams like Toronto who are positioned to win now, strike while the iron's hot. Bottom line, Jojo Romero should be a priority target for the Blue Jays. He addresses a clear weakness. The price shouldn't be prohibitive, and he's available from a motivated seller. Sometimes the best moves aren't the splashiest ones. Sometimes it's about identifying gaps and filling them with quality players who make your team complete. This is one of those situations, and I really hope Toronto's front office sees it the same way.